you? And welcome to the show. Guess what is the best part of Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday? You got it right. It's being right here with us for tea time. We've got all the hottest story today. And I'm telling you, some of them are going to be super exciting for you and you're going to be so happy about it. And some of them are going to get you super angry and wondering, like, why is this going on? The hashtag is Ebru. Let's talk, and the SMS line is 40920. My name is Lydia KM.
My name is Dana DeGrazia.
And my name is Naomi Womboy.
So apparently I did not get like the dark black memo.
Oh, yeah.
I am like the exact opposite end of the spectrum here. But I don't mind being the bright and shining light of the table. What can I say?
Yeah.
Before we get into it, ladies, how was your weekend?
Binge watching things and that's it. But all I managed to do productive, that's not self-care, that's wasting time.
Yeah.
But what I managed to do was I've been doing a 30-day yoga plan and I have not skipped a day thus far. Every time I'm able to do that, I'm like, okay,
absolutely. And you relax with intention. It's still self-care.
My weekend was, I lost my wallet. If anybody out there has seen Naomi Womboy's wallet, I will pay you to return my wallet.
I'm sorry.
It has my cards, it has my life. You know how like you put your whole life in one place?
Yeah.
Oh my
Absolutely.
gosh.
That's why I don't get those phone cases that are also wallets. It's like, so you get pickpocketed
You lost
one time.
everything.
Your whole life.
Nothing.
No.
Everything is gone. I remember one time my wallet got stolen. And you know, the inconvenient part is it has your IDs, it has your cards, things that this person cannot use. This guy got, I think, like 800 shillings from me. And I was like, woo, congratulations. You know, you just ruined my day for nothing.
Literally.
But we're obviously here to brighten up that week, going forth, continuing on, like, leave alone Monday, leave alone Tuesday. Those days are gone, and now it's only weekend vibes from here. It's time for Hot Talk.
We're on top. Hey, ladies, we're on top. Hey, we're on top.
So basically, later on, we'll be talking about this a little bit more in depth. But for the question of the day, I've got to give you a bit of the background. Now, we know that Lion King, the remake, the 3D remake, to do that. So it just premiered on Monday, and you know we're so excited, especially the 90s baby. Therefore, this is like our film.
I don't know if I can watch it.
Generation Z, back off. This is us. Anyway, so it premiered on Monday, and you know everyone's really excited about it. But unfortunately, it's had some controversy because the Lion King soundtrack, it's an album which has come up and it's called New Africa, but there is no East African artist featured on it. It's got Yemi Alade, Tiwa Savage, Wizkid, Burna Boy, and a few other people from the West Africa region, and people have something to feel about this. So for our question of the day, the question is, should East African artists, do they deserve to have been on the album, or should they have been on the album? Because as you know, Lion King is set, the setting is Kenya. So many Swahili phrases, but we are not represented at all in the soundtrack. So let us know what you guys think. The hashtag is Ebru Let's Talk, and the SMS line is 40920. Now, to Hot Talk, Andrew Kibe. Sometimes I disagree with him on basically everything, but every so often he says the spark of truth that I feel I hold him dear. So essentially he narrated a story where he used to be a pastor before, and I know that's crazy because everything that comes out of that man's mouth is usually like church. But he used to be a pastor before, and he said that he was in a group of pastors, and he wanted to kind of elevate to be an official pastor. But what he realized is the group he was going around with, who includes Burale, I know, were basically hypocrites. They were saying one thing, but really they weren't doing it. So he decided that he didn't want to be part of that. He didn't want to be part of that hypocrisy, and he decided to, you know, speak out against it and also move himself out. But the consequences were that a lot of them blocked him. They pushed him out because he was so outspoken. But he said that, you know, religion is something which we've got to look into a little bit more because people are hiding themselves behind that. And I agree?
No, I definitely totally agree. Like, especially when it comes to pastors, like even I think he kind of said it, like they kind of sell you a lie.
Yeah.
Like basically he wasn't able to lie as good as these certain pastors,
Right.
other pastors were able to do. But religion, I definitely feel like religion is like politics,
Yeah.
period, point blank. There's gonna be a debate over it. There's always gonna be controversy, and whatever religion you are, like, do your thing. Do your
Yeah,
thing.
it's true. He said, I was not good enough, so they never made me a pastor. I only prayed for myself. The club of friends I was with blocked me because they said I was too outspoken or something like that. In 2009, I discovered Christendom and got saved. After that, I tried it a couple of years and later went to India to do the mobile application. He's basically said, like, religion doesn't, you don't have to be this one person who's got it, like this one religion, like you can explore and discover more about yourself. He finished with saying religion should be very personal and no one should tell you what to be. I changed a couple of things in my life.
Okay, maybe I'm gonna say something kind of wild
go,
here,
Dana.
right? The thing is, number one, I don't necessarily separate his attitudes and sort of like boisterousness far from a lot of pastors we know. I feel like he definitely has sort of like the aesthetic of like loud, very sort of in your face, matter-of-factly kind of thing. I think for him, I almost feel like he's just sort of separating himself from pastor. I take it kind of weirdly. It's like, okay, did you really separate yourself because you weren't a good enough liar, or because like you were found going out and drinking too much? Like, were you just like not necessarily super godly enough for them, or do you genuinely like disagree with some of the ways they were doing and some of the goings about that they were thinking? Because I feel like what he's saying here doesn't actually give a lot of detail. It just says like, I wasn't a good enough pastor in whatever way that means, and then my friends ditched me. But also, I mean, like many places, like being a pastor in the church is like a clique. It's like a little club. So when you do start to be like the dissenter of it, you're going to have to leave anyways. So not necessarily saying I'm defending any pastor in Kenya's choices, but just I'm now curious, so what were you doing that they so vehemently disagreed with you?
Right. One thing which I see myself, as what I see from Andrew Kibe is that he is himself. He is like, I have these views, a lot of them I disagree with myself personally, but he says them state as fact. And if that's the fashion in which he was going about his ways, and he felt like, you know, the energy that he was receiving was contradicting that, then I can totally see himself removing himself from that space, because he's like, wait, so we are supposed to act this way here, and then later on we're supposed to do this. You know, from what his character seems like, he seems to be the kind of person who would just be like, well, this is a lie.
Yeah.
So I don't want it. But you know what, you're right. It could be a situation where maybe he was pushed out because he wasn't doing what he was supposed to be doing, or he genuinely did feel like he didn't fit in. But let me tell you this, this is how it goes, and this is just like with absolutely everything. There are rules and regulations, sometimes, majority of the times, unsaid.
Yeah.
Even like in the media industry, there are some rules, like you don't know how you know them, but you know. So there are some unsaid rules which are in every single place. And unfortunately, if you want to be part of that clique, you've got to kind of toe the line and be part of that. But if you want to be the person who stands out and like does something different and refuses to kind of, you know, cave in, then good, absolutely good for you. But those rules are put there for everyone. We see pastors all the time doing some crazy things, completely contradicting what the Bible and the church has actually got something to do with. So maybe the unsaid rule, the rule is we are above the law. We are above it all. So if you don't act like that, then you can't hang.
Yeah, well, I think also it's about like, the rule is keep your mouth shut.
Yep.
You know, I don't necessarily think they don't tell pastors like you can't drink and you can't have a mistress and things like that. It's more just like, bro, keep your mouth shut about it. So maybe that's
and
really
I feel
the rule.
like he's very outspoken, like you guys said, but I definitely agree with you. There is a set of rules, like even within the music industry, within like that's why you see all these gospel artists being on online in the media. That's why you see them getting bashed for this, bashed for that, but. You know, Kibe, he speaks his mind. And
Yeah,
he
he
speaks
does.
his truth.
And a lot of us, like, first of all, like, you know, I'm a Christian too. So I understand the pressures that sometimes come with when you stand up and you put yourself there as saved. Once you do that, forget being a pastor, but once you do that, automatically there's this everyone's looking at you to see how you're gonna act about it. And as you said, religion is personal. First of all, I do feel like, I strongly feel that if I did get saved, that would just be on me. It would be my business, or maybe the people around me for accountability. And, you know, maybe sometimes I feel I'm not that strong or whatever, and I feel like I want to do something outside those rules. I wouldn't do it, but I wouldn't tell the whole world, because it's just room to feel pressure. So, like, have you ever felt this? And can you understand where Andrew Kibe is coming from, as far as, you know, kind of needing to be a different person to kind of fit in the clique? The hashtag is Ebru, let's talk, and the SMS line is 40920, and we've all been there, whether it's pastors, whether it's in school, whether it's, you know, kind of dressing a particular way, or, you know, you feel like you've got to act a particular way to fit in.
I feel like, especially like in Kenya, like, especially if you're saved, it's like, no drinking, no smoking, no doing this, no doing that. Like, there's a set, strict rules, and not all these pastors follow them. Let me tell you, because I know a couple of them.
And see, that's the thing.
Well, it's like,
it's
don't
personal.
tell.
It's personal.
It
So
is.
even when you're saved, the rules and regulations should be coming from a space of, this is the lifestyle I want to be in for myself. If your pastor breaks the commandments and breaks the rules, that has nothing to do with the relationship you have with God yourself. So, like, of course, there's supposed to be people we look up to, but they're not the thing to look
and
to.
to be honest with you, like, story time, to be honest with you, when I was younger, like, I was so involved in the church. Like, I was the president of the choir, EP Williams, like,
all the church clubs.
All the church clubs.
And still doing everything in high school.
And still doing everything in high school. Girl,
When did you
I
start?
look up to my pastor, like, you know, like, that's how I grew up. Like, but that's how I was raised. Like, so I looked up to him, like, not like he was a god, but he was put on a pedestal.
He was a conduit
He was
to
put
God.
on a pedestal. But once, like, I grew up, I went to college, came back to America, like, I found out, like, he was, like, cheating on his wife. He was, like, laundering money through the church. Like, he was doing all of these things, like, and I felt so betrayed. I literally felt so betrayed. Like, I had stopped going to church for a while. Like, when I was in college, like, my mom would be like, Nami, did you go to church this morning? I'd be like, no, I didn't. Like, I had stopped going to church for a while, because it's like these pastors are put so high on this pedestal, but they're not God. They're not God.
Well,
like,
I think it's also, it's funny, I was talking with Jasper about this, because neither one of us are particularly, like, religious. We believe that there more likely is, like, some higher power, but it could also be just psychosomatic, and we've imagined it. But what it really takes to be in religion is internal discipline. It has to be that you want to achieve a certain goal, and you believe that these are the things that go about it, and these are the ways that you're going to get sort of the end goal, whether it's heaven, whether it's nirvana, whether it's whatever kind of thing. It takes some internal discipline. So the one thing that I can say about Andy Kibe is, no matter sort of where he was, he acknowledged, he's like, I don't necessarily have the internal discipline to follow a path that I believe is, like, the rightful path. Because he didn't necessarily just leave alone this group of pastors. He left alone this idea of, I don't think I could do it even if I wanted to go about it what he considered the right way. Because he could just have been one of the few perfectly legitimate pastors. He could be that person, but he realized that that wasn't what's going to work for him. And so at least I can respect that. But I feel like any and all religion takes a lot of discipline.
It does take a lot. It takes a lot of discipline, and as we said, it's personal. But I'm gonna tell one positive story, because I feel like we've definitely told all this, whatever. So Father Richard, who was our father in the Catholic Church, which I grew up in Bristol, is one of the most incredible human beings I've ever met.
Amazing.
And he is completely selfless. He's fully in service of his people. He used to go over and above to take in families from all over the place, you know, to make sure that, you know, to make sure that they had a home, they felt home at church. He believed that the Bible says what it says, even about homosexuality, but he's like, that's not your place to judge. He has never spewed out hate to anyone because he believed that that's not his position. And I grew up understanding that I'm going to meet so many people who are funky and weird and maybe not what I expect people to be or the world to look like, right?
Funky and
But
weird.
as long as they are not harming me or anyone else, then it's even if they are, my place is not to judge. So I feel like when I meet people and I don't want to be judgmental about things, they think it's because I'm westernized, but it's not because I'm westernized, because I was taught that no matter what, it's not my place to judge. So there are absolutely amazing men of God out there.
But you know what? At the end of the day, I think what this really boils down to is authenticity.
Yeah.
Like, you know, Andy Kibe just wanted to live his sort of authentic life. And so I didn't actually tell you what I did this weekend. Where I was this weekend, I actually got to walk around and sort of be hosted by some guys who are from Kibera. I did a motivational speak at one of the cool schools, Shamo School, a little high school. And it was humbling and it was great. And I got to see like Olympic, Ayani, Bombolula. I really walked around. And the great thing is I also got to see an art gallery. I believe it's called Masai Mbili, and it's full of amazing artists. And that's one of the things that people don't appreciate from Kibera is the art that comes out of it. And there's a very famous, well, he's getting up there to be famous, artist who just came out with a song, I really hope I'm going to say it right, Vijana Tuache Mihadarati, essentially telling the youth they shouldn't turn to drugs and they should occupy their time with better things. And the great thing is people around this artist, he's called Stivo Simple Boy. We'll call him Simple Boy. So he has been getting support from all around him, and they have been pushing him forward to work with artists that are bigger, like Rayvanny, work with artists, you know, he's aiming for like the Sauti Souls and the Diamonds and the people like that, which is super commendable because he's spreading this message that isn't like a woe is me message. It's not a violent message. It's like there are so many better ways to spend your time. And the great thing is this is a song about spending your time better and not doing drugs that's actually gaining traction. So it's not like falling on deaf ears, you know? It's not staying within its own confines. It's actually getting out there and garnering a lot of attention. And so people are really expecting him to move further and further with this. And it's an absolutely fantastic message.
It is a fantastic message. And because of the first things first, we want to shout out our boy Chipukizi.
Yes, who
because he's the one who Slim Boy actually debuted on Chipukizi's show. So shout out to Chipukizi, shout out to Ebru, you know. And he brought him to the show, and all he did, even when you check out his videos, it's just like a few bars from, you know, that song, and then it grew from that to, oh my God, and who better else to teach this youth about that life than him himself, and to reward him, because God is God and God is good. Rayvanny heard the song and uttered him, and well, didn't utter him, but he said, this song is absolutely amazing. Can someone please help me locate him so that we can do a collab? That's Rayvanny, as in the Tanzanian superstar.
And what I respected the most was like Kenyans came together and to add and make sure that he found him. Like that's what, like these local artists and like young artists who are coming up, I think that's so amazing. Like when you have a gift, use it. Even if you like you start in your room, in your closet, and you're making a song, like continue to do your thing and continue to DM these big artists. Reach for the stars. Don't settle for the clouds. You know, that's what I always say. Like it's so crazy because I have so many DMs, and I'm sorry, I will get to you guys all at once, but I have so many DMs of these like young upcoming artists like wanting to do collabos, like, and we just had like Raphael the other day, like he like shot up out of nowhere, like, and any of you guys, any of you young upcoming artists can do that, but reach for the stars, don't settle for the clouds.
You know what else this also shows? Because unfortunately, obviously, you guys know the Play KE Music hashtag, and there's a lot of comparison between TZ and Kenya as far as how well we support our artists. You know, a lot of people here believe Kenyans don't support Kenyans enough. So this is an absolutely amazing example of Kenyans pushing so far that he gets noticed internationally. So it's not that we can't do it, it's just that we have to put forth our energies and actually have them be directed. I get that the hashtag is something powerful and meaningful, but you gotta find a specific artist you love and push that artist. You know, it only takes a few people to really get the word and the conversation going, and then this whole hashtag thing can stop because here we are supporting Kenyan artists.
That is the biggest point of this, and that's us When Raphael's video went up and his followers
us.
flew up, that was
all
us.
the way up.
This is us, you know. So it doesn't even need to come from a place of I need to go to every single one of your shows and I need to be, because I've got to be a fan. Because guess what? I don't even the international people, I don't always buy their tickets, but the support which I give is, you know, in the way I enjoy the music. That to me is a big point. And also, Figure was the biggest song in the world not too long ago. We don't get to say that that place is unreachable. No matter why you think they made it or why that song was big, it doesn't matter. As long as it went up there, then that means they're making room for more people to do that. And there's so many other bands that came before us, came even before Ethic Ed, that were doing so good. So I feel like we're paving the way and we are showing that we are doing the job by supporting the people who, by the way, we don't benefit. We don't benefit when any of these people win, but they get to win because they've got talent. So yeah, Play K music, we're doing it.
I definitely like support Play K music all the way because you know I'm Kenyan.
You're
and
part
I got
of it.
music coming out. But that also it kind of ties in with our question of the day. Should East Africa be on the soundtrack for The Lion King? That is the question of the day. The hashtag is Ebru Let's Talk and the SMS is 40920. Let us know what you guys think. So on a different note, we're kind of turning tables, going to the drama side of things. So Nairobi flamboyant lawyer, Donald Kibe. Yay! I did it. So Donald Kibe, he went on social media on a rant, and he said, this is what he posted on social media. I was in Jamaica for 1 week and traveled across country. I asked the driver I used and the waitress in the restaurant I visited if they knew Elaine or Morgan Heritage. None of the Jamaicans I asked knew them. They are unknown in Jamaica. Kenyans make stars of non-stars, he wrote. Ooh. I mean, I got something to say about this because that's crazy, number one. And like, he even got backlash from a lot of people, like on social media, like, oh, so did we make Morgan Heritage award-winning, like Grammy award-winning artist? No, Kenya did not. Like, come on. And he even like, there were other notes that said, oh, maybe you were asking the wrong type of people. Maybe they just don't listen to the right music, this and that and the other. Like, there was so much drama. Like, but KOT went in on Donald. And me personally, if I had seen that message, I probably would have went in. I'm not gonna lie, because it's just, well, okay, hold on. I have two sides to this. Okay, so hold on. I have two sides to this.
Give us your bullet points.
So, one, I would have gone in because it's Elaine. Like, literally when I was reading this article, I was in the car and Elaine's song was playing on the radio. Like, come on. Then I continue to listen and I'm like, it's like Whitney Houston, like other people. And then Sauti Soul finally came on. You know, I was like, yes, play KE music. Okay, so I get that side. But then there's another side where Kenya, yes, we kind of do, like, put other artists on pedestals rather than our own artists. And that's where the hashtag Play KE music comes into play. Like, we definitely, like with, you know, the one we were talking about before, we definitely need to support our artists more and push them just as hard as we're pushing these international artists who come in our country that will pay like 6,000 shillings to watch a show for.
Yeah,
I
see,
definitely.
that's the side which I feel like I lean more on. Number one, first of all, it really bothers me when people go outside the country and all they have to say are negative things about Kenya.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like why? Like who benefits? You know, Kenya is one of the most beautiful holiday destinations. Plenty of my friends who aren't Kenyan have come here on holiday. We do it. So what you don't see in your own country, somebody else is seeing. So the bashing is unnecessary. Even if you said, people don't seem to know Elaine and Morgan Heritage, that's it. Then the conversation would really have been about the people who you spoke to don't know Morgan Heritage or Elaine. But now you put it in that it's us who are making stars of non-stars. As Naomi pointed out, we could not in our little country make somebody win a Grammy because Sauti Sol would have one. If we had the power, they would have it. So that's number one. Number two, I do believe that when international artists do come here, they are 100% treated like royalty, far more than the people who are here. And I don't know, like, you know, people say that Nairobi is like a sponge, well, Kenya is like a sponge, and what it does is kind of, it just soaks everything in that it's given. So that means we kind of absorb so much more of the outside, and, you know, we kind of don't treasure our own as much, because I know for sure maybe what a lot of people get paid in their own country, they say that they get paid more here. Mr. Easy said that. He said that Kenya is one of the few countries where you're going to get so much money as a Nigerian artist, and we know our own Kenyan artists don't get paid that much. So, you know, maybe that's something to consider as far as maybe how we balance between how we treat international artists and how we treat our own, but it's not because we're making non-stars stars.
Absolutely.
And also, like, I wanted to actually, on something you had said, like we're a sponge. Like, Nairobi is very small. Like, let me tell you, like, me being an artist in Kenya, like, Nairobi is very small. All the artists know all the artists. Like, we all know each other.
It's tight-knit
Like,
community.
it's very tight-knit community. And what I've realized, and even somebody had told me, was that, like, Naomi, like, you need to appeal to the masses who are out there, like in Kibera, like out there in like different areas, because this little tight-knit community in Nairobi, like these friends, artist friends, they're not the ones who are going to be paying to come to your show.
Yeah.
Like they're not going to be
They're
paying
gonna
to come
ask
to
for
your
free
show.
tickets.
They're going to ask, of course. So, but yeah.
Yeah. I think also, furthermore, I'm curious to know why exactly did he go on this little experiment, you know? Like, first of all, why were you in Jamaica #1? We all know what Jamaica's
He
for.
was minding his business.
We all know what
He was
Jamaica is
minding his
actually for,
business.
#1. And also, like, this thing of, you're right, he was trying, why bother tearing down your home? I don't understand it. Why relate it back to, like, us Kenyans, we're fools and we make stars out of non-stars, and you're right. Grammy nominated, award-winning, you know, things like that. It doesn't make sense, and then even use that to just discredit and discourage Kenyans from encouraging others and inviting other artists. Because if I, as an artist, want to come to Kenya, why are you, someone who does have a big name, telling me I shouldn't even bother? You know, because people are going to see this tweet and just be like, okay, so something is wrong with this community. I don't understand why he was searching for something bad to say, is how it feels. It almost feels like this tweet in itself was forced. I don't necessarily agree with the response that someone had. I don't know if we'll pull it up again, but someone said that you can't, like, you can't be big outside without being big in your home. I think I can name a few artists that are bigger outside than in Kenya. But at the end of the day, Kenya will not invite you if you're not big in your other country. Because there are artists, I don't want to name names, there are artists that had to leave Kenya because they felt like they weren't being supported, but Kenya will not have you come if they don't see you big, you know, if they don't see you're worth inviting to.
Yeah, but that's not even a Kenyan thing, by the way, because someone like Adele had such a huge tour in America before she had a huge tour in England.
Solid
Sometimes things just go that way. It's not even like, you know, we need to see that you're verified in your country for us to like you. Music transcends past that, you know? Like when I hear an amazing song from a South African artist who I can't even pronounce their name, I don't care. I'm just excited to have them, you know? So like, you know, it just goes like this back and forth. There's some people here who are way bigger than they are in their own country, and vice versa, and it's all good. I don't think Kenya actually does make nonsense out of stars, but that's just what we think, my good people. The hashtag is Ebru. Let's talk, and the SMS and is 40920. Let us know what you think. Do you actually think that Kenyans do make other international stars or non-stars into stars when they come here? Let us know. Now, there's something which I wanted to update about, because sometimes we discuss things and then we find that actually we didn't give you guys the update. Number one, the whole hype with Elaine, since we're talking about her, and Willie Paul was hype. It was clout for their new song.
It was.
They have a new song out.
Bum, bum, bum.
I know. And I remember how we said how disappointed we were.
We were. I'm so disappointed in you, Elaine. I'm so disappointed.
You're supposed to be
I'm
there.
hurt. I'm hurt, girl.
Their song came out literally like 2 days after. I
Oh
was
my
like,
gosh.
It's
Oh
like
my
that
God.
meme of like, we were rooting for you. We were all rooting for you. But I honestly, guys, like, can we just get used to it? And you know the bad thing is because of the job that we have, right? We can't just get used to it because then all of us will just be, I'm over it, and it'll just be boring.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, we gotta feed into it. It's hard.
I'm pissed. But anyways, let us know what you guys feel about these things. And the question of the day still is, should East Africans have been on the soundtrack to The Lion King? And that's sort of going into what we're about to come up with. Yes. The hashtag is Ebru Let's Talk. The SMS is 40920. And we will see you after this.
We're on top. Hey, ladies, we're on top. Hey, we're on. We're on top. Hey, ladies, we're on top. Hey, we're on.
Welcome back to the show, and thank you so much for joining us here on Ebru TV, your favorite channel. This is Let's Talk. Don't forget the hashtag is Ebru Let's Talk, and the SMS sign is 40920. We are about to go into Talk That Talk, our very favorite segment, so stay tuned.
We're on top. Hey, ladies, we're on top. Hey, we're on.
The Lion King, my good people.
A Wimble, a Wimble, a Wimble,
A Wimble,
in the jungle, the mighty jungle, the lion sleeps tonight.
Okay. I don't know any 90s child or any child for that matter who is not absolutely in love with Lion King. It's a beautiful story. It's set in the savannah, and it has so many of the Swahili phrases which we love. First of all, hashtag Hakuna Matata, which by the way has been now been flipped to Kuna Matata as far as this topic we're about to discuss. But the point is, the Lion King has so much history, is loved by so many, and the remake, which is now more photo, it's a bit different. It's basically 3Ds. It's 3D'd and it's back here and it premiered on Monday, and everyone loved it. The budget was $260 million, so you better love it.
When you got Bey on the scene.
Yeah, I know. It's been put everywhere. Beyonce is part of the cast, and I'm so excited to go and see
I'm
it.
so excited. It's like our childhood recreated, despite the fact that we have to see Mufasa die
I don't
all
know if
over
they can
again.
handle it, guys.
All over
So
again.
it's been it's premiered on Monday, and so far before this story, everything about it was all positive. And then there was the new album, the new soundtrack which came out, and it was called The New Africa, which of course people were excited about. We were, oh my God, we can't wait to see it. But then when Beyonce released the list of the artists who were there, it was more than not what we expected. And the biggest reason is because there's no East African artist on there at all. It's predominantly Nigerian and 2 other artists who aren't from Nigeria but from the West African region. Now, my first point is that first of all, don't forget the hashtag is Ebru Let's Talk. Please let us know, do you think they deserved to have been part of that? We know that the Lion King is actually based around the setting of Kenya. The phrases are from East Africa. Should they have been on the soundtrack album? Now, this conversation, of course, everyone had their own opinion, but it was really struck out by Fancy Fingers from Sauti Sol, who basically kind of called it out. And he said that because we know where the origin is from, it's ridiculous to us that there's no East African artists there. And he said, we are so happy for the African artists who are there, like, oh my God, this is huge. This is huge. Just put them on the map. This is a big deal for Africa. And as long as Africa is standing, so are we all. But he did point out that he believes East Africa should have been there. Bien had a different opinion, which he said, basically, this is business, get over it. Victor Kimani had an idea of, like, come on. Like, how did you forget? How did you forget East Africa? And Vanessa Mdee said straight up, she did say that you guys, we did not get the bit which was so much part of us, and she called it out. She was like, this is business, people are just making money, but she did take it to heart that there was no East African artist.
No.
Yeah.
And I definitely, and one of them said, like, this is an American-based, like, movie, but since the setting, the scenery is in Kenya, basically, like, there's Swahili in the movie, there's Swahili in the music, and there's no East African, like, characters even in the movie or on the soundtrack. That's absolutely ridiculous to me. Even Trevor Noah, like on his show, had pointed out, he was like, there's actually no Africans in the movie, period.
Yeah.
Like, it's all American stars. And Beyonce came out with her album, The Lion King, which had like Tiwa Savage, Techno,
Burna
like,
Boy,
you know,
everybody.
Burna Boy, Yummy Holiday, all of them. And I felt like that's kind of a slap in the face to East Africa.
Yeah.
That's definitely a slap in the face to East Africa. And I'm kind of on the side of BN when he was kind of like, F you, like, this is not your father's business. Like, no, we definitely should have been represented, but us, like that, it goes back to our other stories, like play KE music. Like,
Well, you know,
we need to support our own people. We need to help our own people rise up so that the rest of the world can see us.
Well, Bien wasn't saying what you're saying.
Okay, yeah.
Bien was
He
saying like,
saying,
get
Get
over
over
it.
it.
It doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
yeah.
So if you feel like it's a slap on the face, it's not
And
what
then-
Bien was feeling.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Well, I think BN was just sort of over it because I think the thing is it's like how Nigeria or South Africa and these other places, like they just invested in their own to the point where now they're so big, you can't really ignore them. Because even like Burna Boy, for example, I believe it was like, it's a huge festival in the U.S., massive festival, and he's actually on it. You know, Yemi Alade is quite known. Like,
Coachella.
Thank you. So there is definitely so much involved and invested into these people's careers that it got them to a point where they had to be noticed. I will say they should be calling this soundtrack West Africa, not the New Africa. They should just be calling it the West Africa, number one.
To be honest, I feel like that's the thing that annoyed me the most. If we're going to say the New Africa, like, which...
Pan-African. What
is involved here? Like, who is part of Africa? It's like the same way of saying this is a new face of Africa. What does that represent? Like, you know, and that's where I feel if they had said this is a new West Africa, well, good on you. That's the point of it. It's West African. But to make it an all-African thing, of course, everyone who's not represented there is going to feel some kind of way.
Even somebody commented, like, people think that Africa is a country, not a continent.
Yes.
Like, not a whole continent. That's crazy.
Well, you know, the thing is, and this is, it's so unfortunate, even when, like, I go home and I tell people I'm from Kenya, or say Nairobi or something, they have no idea where it is. Because the thing is for people in the West, it takes them a few minutes to register, because we know that within Africa, there's Kenya, there's South Africa, there's Nigeria. We know that those are separate places, but it's like, because it's not right next door to us, there isn't this like immediate connection with the idea that these are actual countries and there are different representations of which. And also, specifically Americans cannot fathom how huge Africa is. They don't consider it like for how massive it is and the cultural differences, even though even in the US there's cultural differences between coasts. It's just something that unfortunately they haven't been taught to internalize and think about, and that really shows here. And also the thing that I tried to raise, and maybe to other people it's not so prevalent, but also Mulan is coming out, We all know the Mulan movie, right? So they actually removed songs from the Mulan movie knowing that they would be culturally inappropriate. They removed, you know, one of the main characters knowing it was stupid for an Asian girl to walk around with a pet dragon. You know, that might be looked at the wrong way. So for me, is even if in the actual movie Lion King, there's nothing necessarily, at least as far as I can tell, like insulting to African or Kenyan culture, why put so much effort into thinking about Asian culture and not put the effort into that? And for me, what it comes down to is they consider like any bone thrown to any African is a win for Africa. They consider, but we included Nigerians, those are Africans, like it's supposed to be one thing.
See how you just said right now. Sorry, go on.
On what you were saying, kind of like how, okay, let's take it back to Kenya.
I spoke a lot.
Everybody knows, like, the Lion King was shot basically in Kenya / Tanzania. But like Rafiki, Simba, like there's Swahili in the movie. There's Swahili in the names of these characters. There's Swahili in the soundtrack. But you don't involve East African
Swahili
musicians,
speakers.
Swahili speakers.
Let me
like
tell you.
these West Africans have to go and learn the language and then sing on the track.
Yes.
Like, that's absolutely
Amen.
ridiculous.
So the difference between, first of all, there's no difference between Mulan and this one. Let me tell you why. Because, do you hear what you're saying? You're saying Asian. See, they cater to Asia.
Yep.
They're catering to Africa as well.
Yep.
They are
I see what you're
grouping
saying.
it
You're
as
right.
a continent.
It's all these Asian
As a
people should be happy.
country.
All these African people should
into
be happy.
one group. We are all one consistent group. Even though if you go to Asia, if you're in India, let me tell you, you are not in China.
Yeah.
And that's still Asia.
You are not
so
Japanese.
what they do is they just find a good rule, one rule for all.
Yeah.
And if they feel that that's satisfied, then that's fine. The other little people who are going to be annoyed are just going to be annoyed out of like, whatever. I feel personally that 100% East Africans should have been on the album, point blank, period. Number one, Beyonce clearly was a person who pushed this. This is the person who was pushing it through the most. The amount of information and people she has around her to do her research to understand what's the most culturally appropriate thing to do, who is the person who should be on the album because of A, B, and C. There is no possible way that it missed that there's no person there who's from East Africa where Lion King was from. And I am a diehard Beyonce fan, but right now I just saw the biggest difference between Beyonce, the artist who is a Westerner, and me, Lydia, who is an African. And guess what? When she's singing about black girls, she's singing about black girls in
American black-
America.
she's singing
not
about black girls,
us,
not
because
Africans.
she doesn't know, she doesn't understand what's going on here for this to have been missed. Especially being her, being the one who was pushing this through, I feel like she should have done better. I'm going to read the list of, I'm going to read the list of the people who were included so that we just kind of get the gist.
Context is there, more context.
So those who are featured are Yemi Alade, Mr. Easy, Techno, Burna Boy, Busiswa, Tiwa Savage, Shatawale, Moonchild, Sanelli, and Wizkid. And yes, you didn't hear anyone there from East Africa. That's my opinion as it stands. They should have been there. Do you think they should have been there?
Yeah, not only that, but I also believe, like, if you really don't want West Africa, if you don't want East African musicians, fine. But like, you couldn't have found at least like East African voices, African voices, something, because I love Beyonce too, but did she have to be in the movie? Did Chance the Rapper have to be in the movie? Did all of these people have to be chosen? Because we're not asking them in the movie to like entirely be singers. They're also voice actors. You couldn't have had an African voice actor with a real accent.
See, I don't have a problem with anything to do with the film. It's a remake of something, so I see why it stood the same exactly as it is from the film. I totally see that.
With the soundtrack, no, I
With the
definitely,
soundtrack,
I definitely
that's
agree
real
with
life
you.
now.
I definitely agree with you. And like with the whole Beyonce thing, like, I tried to look at it in a brighter light. Like, it wasn't Beyonce, it was the management and the producers
Disney.
on top. It was Disney.
It was Disney.
And we
But
all know
Beyonce
Disney
is
is like
Beyonce,
white.
so now she's
And,
powerless?
Okay, but listen, but on top of that, like, everybody knows, like, Kenya is one of the most like traveled places by white people, Asians, China people. Like,
everybody.
sorry,
Everybody
like,
comes
I'm
here.
just defeating the purpose of what we're saying. But
Right.
everybody comes here for the big five. Like, this is one big tourist attraction. So why can our music be like
Absolutely. And
thrown right in there?
What they could have been doing, I even understand where you're coming from, how the soundtrack could be more important, because they chose Beyonce because she's Beyonce. She's the one who's bringing in all these 90s babies, because not only do you love the movie, but you love Beyonce. So really, the soundtrack was the place for them to be able to step up and really get it and understand. But if you think about it, I mean, more than any culture I've ever known, ever, African culture has been taken, and specifically, Lion King has been at the forefront of that cultural appropriation. There have been clothing lines devoted to misappropriating phrases. I mean, I remember a clothing line where they had a shirt, I think it's hysterical. They had a shirt that says Hakuna some vodka, and then in parentheses that means drink. So whenever I see someone wearing that shirt, I'm just like, you have no idea what you're doing.
It's true.
It's wild.
It's ridiculous. Now, we're going to hone this in. We do all agree that they should have been there. Number one being that there's so many sentiments about the film that are taken directly from Kenya and Tanzania. The Swahili phrasing, the names, number one. Number two, the album is called The New Africa. And that means that if Africa is included, anybody else who feels as an African is not represented is going to have something to say. And East Africa, most of all, because of the first reason I just gave, the Swahili-driven energy of the film. Now, that aside, the second thing is, why is it like that? Because guess what? When Beyonce, I'm going to just assume, when she was asked who are the biggest artists to come out of Africa
Did she know?
who would be part of this for them to be well represented, right? She got advice and she did her research, and guess what? If you do search the biggest artists in Africa, you will get a collection of
East
Of,
African.
of multiple countries.
but majority
Will be in
West
West Africa.
African.
Well,
I'm gonna be honest,
yeah. No. True.
Yeah,
West
majority
Africa
of
is,
they have transcended, as you're saying. Burna Boy, even Wizkid and Davido have sold out the O2.
Even like they do features with American artists.
Exactly.
Like,
So what I'm trying to say is that my point here does not remove what I just said. I do still think they should have been on there, but you made a
Business is
point.
business.
Nigerians have made it that they're not asking for a seat at the table. They have made themselves to be in such a huge position that you've got to involve them. You've got to know them. It's like, so if anyone in the West, like the big artists, don't know Wizkid, you look stupid. They've put themselves in that position and they've come up powerful. So I don't think Nigerians were favored because they are liked more. I feel like they were favored because they are the ones who are doing it the biggest. And yes, we do have artists from here who can match, but as a whole, we don't. The one person who we did disagree with is Diamond. Diamond.
You couldn't have taken, because you know, and let me be honest, right? Before we go into
Diamond
game
is
time,
massive.
did you guys as the viewers know every single name on the list Lydia read off? Because personally, I did not know every single name. I didn't know I can name the ones I know. But what I'm saying from that is that although all of them are also very famous, if it's a numbers game, if it really is a numbers game, you can still take the numbers from people who are huge in East Africa. Because all those people on that list, I don't think are equal in comparison. You could have absolutely sort of spread the wealth throughout and been like, okay, these are the biggest names. Like, I want 5 big names from West Africa and 5 big names from East Africa.
Even separate like
Assuming there's even separate things from that, assuming that you can get that sort of demographic, I bet that Beyonce could have gotten those numbers.
I feel like Beyonce was like, give me the best names in Africa and go.
And she walked away from it. But you guys, I'm gonna get heated. It's gonna get real intense. We just hope that you watch the Lion King movie, and maybe even after watching it, we could all give better views of it, because I'll admit, I have yet to see it. I don't wanna face the death of Mufasa just yet, but you guys, it's time for game time, something lighthearted.
We're on top. Hey, ladies, we're on top. Hey, we're on top.
All right, so this challenge is the award receiving challenge. Pretty straightforward, except we're not going to be the ones who are receiving this award. We have to receive them as a persona. So I guess I will go first. I was not given name cards, so I assume I will be told in my ear who exactly I'm going to be.
Or is it coming on the screen?
Look at this nice award. It is. It's going to actually be a photo on the screen. Look how beautiful this award is.
I know.
Let's see where.
Calligraph Joe.
All right, wait.
Just be yourself.
I know, right?
Basically.
Except, you know, calligraph doesn't say. I just want to thank everybody for this award right here.
You don't even have to pick an
I
answer.
worked,
That's crazy.
yeah, right. I worked real hard for this. I'm bringing home to my baby mama, my new child. You know, I know I deserve this. I worked real hard, been in the industry for a long time. You know, I'm one of the, you gotta respect the OGs, and I feel like this is the respect that I, as the OG, I need. So I'm just saying, like, man, I knew I deserved this award anyways, but thanks. Thank you, but I should have just taken it with. I should actually just been like,
it's yours.
just like hustled away from it.
Yeah.
I wish I had shades on though.
I know, yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen his eyes.
No,
I know. No one's ever actually seen calligraphs.
You haven't.
He probably goes home with them.
I'll cut them.
Hike up.
Haters, where are you now? Where are you now, haters? You are there wondering whether you should have Skuma Wiki or buy bundles to insult me. But who got the award? Who got the award? I want to speak to my independent women. Okay? My independent women, listen, use these men nonsense. It doesn't matter as long as you're standing here. 10 years time, little girl, you could be me. Okay? So don't let boys, small boys, just tell you small things. Listen, they're just using you. Focus on your dreams. You see me? I travel, Paris. I go to London.
With
5 kids. And look at me. Look at me with 5 kids. Huh? And I'm here. I'm winning awards because I'm Akothe. You cannot take that away from me. Dark skin, light skin. It's me who has won. Thank you.
Lydia, she would be proud of that.
I feel
She would be proud of that.
was
She would have
definitely
loved
like-
that.
That was
Are you
amazing.
kidding me?
That was amazing.
You guys, please, somebody add Akothe because
That
I think
was-
she would be proud.
Please.
Listen, we
Okay.
hope she would be proud.
No, I know
Okay,
she
let's
would
see.
be.
Who-
I feel like I know her.
Who am I? Oh no,
Drum
that was
roll.
good. Oh.
Ow,
Hold
ow.
on. First off, I have to start over here.
Oh,
With my peoples.
Oh.
Yo, hype me up.
we just
Yo, it's Koozie. It's Koozie, baby. More juice all day. Like, I'm so thankful, baby. To win this award. Like, for all of y'all to think about me. Like, I'm so thankful. Like, I praise God. Amen. To my team, to my homies over there. Like, yeah, more juice, baby.
Koozie.
All day. Let me take my award.
Yeah! First of all, our producer just said all of us won.
Today is
All
the
of
winner.
us. Yo, we won as a team, baby.
Yes.
Now all of us gonna go out.
I saw Akothe once
Yeah.
talking, and she didn't say exactly what I said, but the way she was talking, she
Yeah.
was like, so you think you've come here for 5 minutes
Yeah,
and
you
you want to be
killed that.
diamond?
You
want?
did.
I was like, do I want to be diamond?
This is her though.
that.
This is Akothe though.
All the way, baby.
But I absolutely love her anyway. Today we had a really emotional topic, I would say. Funny enough. I feel like this is so weird because we've all had experience in the West. You know, Kenyan but raised abroad, and when you do feel that other part is not considering your cultural part, there's a tension you feel inside, because I feel like this people could have honestly done their best to make sure that this new Africa album was something that represented so many people. And if it says Africa, it should include South Africa as well.
Yes.
Maybe not every single country, but some from the West, some from, you know what I mean? But anyway, continue talking to us. The hashtag is Ebru, let's talk, and the SMS sign is 40920.